Oh man, what's up, people? It's your man Black Cobra back once again with the Wheel Life Show. So we had a lot to talk about in the EUC world. As you know, there is always something going on. Hold on, I can hear him over here, so I'm gonna mute him for a minute. There's always something going on in the EUC world. We've had a lot of things happen over the last few weeks. We're going to talk about a lot of those things as usual, but today we're going to bring in someone that we all know. I call him Professor Panda, but you guys know him as Archie or Panda. I want to say welcome to the show, Mr. Panda. What's up, brother?
You know, I had to. Hey guys, how are you today?
I
Yeah, I had to. I mean, I can use this once a year for something like this, or yeah. So
listen. I
thanks for having me.
I am not surprised that you have that. That is so crazy. So
Entire outfit, man. I don't fit into that outfit, but I have it.
well, you're here, and I appreciate you being here. Uh, Archie is. Someone asked me today. They said, "Is that Archie from New York?" I'm like, "Huh? No, that's Archie from
Uh-huh.
Boston, and there's only one Archie.
Uh-huh.
There's only one Panda Man, and you guys know who he is." So the person hit me back. They're like, "Oh yeah." I think some
Oh,
people
we
might,
we
might
can
be
have
confused
we can
about,
have more pandas.
huh?
We can have more pandas. It's okay. It's not
Wait,
unlimited. Okay, we
wait.
can go. We can have big panda family.
No, I think there's only one Panda. But
No.
I want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. Bunny Slippers, what's up? Simon, what's up? EVX, what's going on, man? Good to see you, brother. As a matter of fact, hang on one second. I want to change up what it looks like here. So you guys, let's see. We got Bunny Slipper. Jose Juarez is here. What's up? Brian Zoom Wheels, what's going on? Hey man, good to see you, brother. We were just talking about you a minute ago. We'll get back to that topic. Patrick McGowan, what's going on? Uh, Ken Forstrom, hey, what's going on, man? Good to see you guys all here. There's several people. Yes, everybody's popping on. Love it, love it, love it. Brian Gonzalez, Sensei Vegan. Another up and comer. What's going on, man? Peace and positive vibes to you too, man. To you
There you go.
too. Love the positive energy coming from the vegan man there. So yeah, we got quite a few others popping in. Go George, go. What's up, man? Um he's got a panda. That's right, George. That's right. Leo's here. What's up, Leo? Good to see you too, brother. There's my man, Bernard Weeks, EUC Chronicles. What's up, brother? Good to see you too. Another positive show, brother. So, yeah, there's a few more. Simeon in here. Man on the Move is in here. Ed Cruz. Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate you, Ed. Ed just popped in and gave me a positive. I appreciate that, Ed. I appreciate. Good friend of mine. He's not an EUC rider, at least not yet. Not yet. We can get you in though, Ed. We can get you in. um,
Quick.
oh, hold on. EVX said that Go George Grow is taking the rumor throne from Sean. He does like to pop up those rumors. Yeah, there's a whole lot coming up. So all right, so let me just say, for those, well, I would say for those that don't know Panda, but I don't think there's many people who haven't heard of him in the EUC world. He is from Boston. Um, the thing about Panda is he's a hardcore rider, and when I say hardcore, he rides probably more than anybody on a wheel. I don't think there's anybody that has more miles on a wheel than right here. He rides in good weather and bad weather. He rides daytime and nighttime. He rides. See some of his. I'm connected to some of his e-skate, or I forgot the name of that app that you use to tell the distance, the skate app. And sometimes it pops up in the middle of the night. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, what? He's riding now? 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and Panda's still riding. So, if you guys got any question as to whether this man rides, I'm gonna tell you right now. Like I said, I think he rides more than anybody I know. That being said, he also has a lot of knowledge when it comes to batteries and the inner workings of some of these PEVs. And he's very outspoken when it comes to how he feels about it. So today we're going to let him share some of what he feels about it, and we're going to ask him some questions because there's a lot of people that were asking me
Mm.
questions, and I'm like, that's something I got to defer to someone with a little more expertise than me. So, Panda, welcome to the show, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
I,
you, thank you, thank you.
I want to tell you, first of all, I want to ask directly, how long have you been riding?
Um, Not long. So I've been riding since 2018. I tried at the end of 2017. Dishon let me use his wheel inside his office, and it was horrible. I was so scared. And he was telling me, oh, there should be this wheel you should get, 100 volt. It's coming up sometimes. And he actually hooked me up with a dealer in New York, and I got my first wheel in 2018 in October. And at that time, I had two Kalis, I had one Baja board, I had four Evolve skateboards, I had one LHB board, and I had about 6, 7 boards that I didn't have assembled.
Okay.
So at that, plus I was getting two other Kalis, one for demo, one for probably for myself, and so I was more in electric skateboarding, and that was more for well, somebody is calling, let's kill them. Somewhat I started riding skateboards at 2015, so at the end of 2015. I tried few, and eventually, skateboarding. I was thinking of getting electric bike, and the ones that I wanted they were a little bit too expensive, and I had the money, but then somebody broke into my office and stole my photography equipment, and I didn't have insurance. So all the money that I had saved, I dumped basically on the new equipment, and there goes the $16,000 for e-bike that I wanted to get. And then eventually, I learned that electric skateboards for the size of me and for the type of riding, I just would not cut it. Basically, small motors, constantly broken, constantly changed. So I got into the EUC, and I started slowly, right, and eventually, got into the craziness of basically nearly sleeping on that field. There are guys that have experience with a lot of wheels, that they practice on a lot of wheels. From the very beginning, the cheap Chinese wheels onto, the first Gotway wheels and first
Yeah.
some wheels. I never really had that. I asked Dishon, hey Dishon, what do you think? What wheel should I get? And he's like, yeah, you should start with the Monster. And I was like, what?
The monster.
And yeah, it should be a Monster, very big guy who work for you best. And I'm like, okay. So I started it basically with Monster. Monster was my first wheel. I tried other wheels too. But to me, Monster was always the wheel that felt that I can handle and
Okay.
that it can handle me, right? And eventually, I had wheels that I had about 7, 8 different monsters,
Wow.
and now um,
So
I
you
had the
had
Monster Pro. I had even one more Monster Pro coming my way.
you're kind of
So
cutting.
that's basically it. So monsters all the way. I'm not sure if I'm hearing you. Actually. Can you say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. I see. You're
Yeah.
kind of cutting in and out. Yeah.
I think.
There you go. I can hear you.
Stupid.
You
One
kind
second. Let me kill this.
of.
Uh,
Okay, so Ed, you said you rode a scooter and you got hooked, but you're so listen, Ed. It doesn't matter how clumsy you are, brother. This is something that anybody can do. You can be the clumsiest of clumsy, but you can ride. You can ride this. Trust me. Let's see.
okay, I lost you on the. For some reason, I lost you on the audio. We always.
Okay, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
That's the one.
You can hear me.
Let's see if I can.
Oh,
Let's see if I can get this
his
thing.
wire phones are going in and out.
Okay, now it's good.
I
Now
got.
it's good. Yeah. That's good. Okay, I fixed it. You fix it. No, I couldn't really hear anything. I know that somebody tried to call me and I
Oh,
reject them and it switched to the
yeah, I
headset.
meant.
So yeah, the monster was for me the wheel at the beginning. So I can't really, as I said, I wrote many other wheels. I tried many other wheels,
Yeah.
but the monster was always for me the wheel that I kind of mastered. And I started on the version 1, then version 2, then I was like the first one of the first people who got the version 3 here. Um, and then I obviously the Monster Pro. Now with the Monster Pro, it was my desire. I was keep asking Gotway, hey, can you make me big wheel? Because I'm a big guy. Can you make me 26-inch wheel, 3600 watt hour battery? A little bit more power. I didn't need that much power. I said I need a little bit more power and definitely a strong shell that can handle, because hey, if you look behind me, these are all monsters. It's like I have like eight monsters here, motors, shells, and some of them are cracked by trying to me do riding on one foot, and when you ride on one foot, the shell cracks under me. I'm like, shit. Well, I had a broken motor. I had about 7,000 miles on that motor, and I went on the small crack, and the axle broke. So you know, yeah. So I love that wheel. I love that wheel for what it does for me. But I have to say, I am not a guy that will go and jump, in the park and do what the EUC stunt page guys do, what Mitch and what Mulan do or Ray do. I'm
Okay.
not that guy. I'm guy that will take that wheel to the shit and I will ride that wheel 700 miles
So,
straight.
so let me ask you this: Are you telling me
Yeah.
that the reason that they upgraded the monster is because of you? Because you asked them to?
I don't know if that's the reason. I think that there was a general need for wheel that can do longer distance. But I can tell you text when I asked them back in 2019 to make me bigger wheel. When there was this discussion about having the 126-volt wheel, I kept asking Gotway, I said, hey, I don't really care about that speed. I'm not really into that.
Right.
Um, I cared about the distance. For me, it was all about the distance. And, gradually I needed more watt hour battery because I was gaining more and more weight because I was riding more and more. So, naturally I stopped completely doing the regular stuff that you would do for fitness. No, maybe not you, but, when you spend 18 hours in a seat, your life basically changes and you
Yeah.
eat at the time that you're not supposed to eat. You don't have enough sleep. You don't drink enough water and it affects you. And it affected me tremendously. Basically, when I started riding EVs, the skateboards, etc., I was 200, 210 pounds. Okay.
What?
Now, yeah. And now I am 280, 270, 280. So when people tell me, oh, you're gonna lose weight by doing this, no, that's nonsense. Because not this guy, definitely not. Because and you know what? And more I wrote, worse it got. And I did when we did the skateboarding back in 2016, 17, and 18. we used to have this thing called escape race, and it was basically a challenge who rides the most. First, it was in a week, then it was in a month. Most
Mm-hmm.
hours, most miles, and I just love that idea of riding. I didn't even care about the competition. I used that as a reason to go out riding,
Right.
but I started doing that, and I started with rides of 50 miles, 60 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles.
Well, that brings us to a question. Real Talk asked the question:
Yeah.
what's the most mileage Panda has trekked in one day? On one day, on one ride.
Uh, so in one day, well, that's difficult because one day I stopped after 19 hours and it was 250 miles.
Oh my God.
But I could do more. I
No,
could do more.
what?
I just didn't have a
Did
need to do that.
right. So 250 is one
250.
250 in one day.
Right. But
250 miles in one day on one wheel. Yo,
I I will, and that was with the charging, obviously. But I will try to break it because I have two Monster Pros and I have my old Monster 3100, and I have additional option of getting additional Monster Pro. So I will try to break 400 miles in a day, and if possible, maybe make 500 miles in a day. The only problem with
wow.
all that is not the wheel, the quality of the wheel, of the fatigue. I don't care. I could, I rode 3 days straight. But the most thing is that the mentality of knowing where you're going. To me, that is always the most because I've been everywhere in New England. You know, I decided to go to Maine, I went to Maine. I decided to go to New Hampshire, I went to New Hampshire. I decided to visit you, I went to you.
Yep.
I went to New York. It's like the electric device that we have, especially if you can extend the battery to some point, it's, you know, off limit. Like boosted, you could do 6 miles. One wheels, you could do 12 miles. Evo skateboard, you could do 16 miles. On a Calis, you could do 20 to 30 miles. Now you have unicycles, you can do 50 miles, 100 miles. I'm not saying that everybody will do that.
Right.
But when you can, it's like a drug. It's like giving you the same fulfillment, like,
Yeah.
and you want more and more and more. And yeah,
One of the things that well first of all, Melody's here. Good to see you, Melody. How you doing? She got recovery. Somebody asked.
I hope
She got injured,
I
and
hope she's good.
but she made a
Yeah,
good
yeah. I hope she's feeling better.
she made a good point. She said group rides make you gain weight. Too many riders drink beer, weed, and food while riding. So he said that's how you gain weight while riding.
I actually don't drink beer, but
Yeah.
I like to eat. I like to eat, and yeah,
No
food
beer, no
food
food.
is my
I mean, no beer, no
food
weed.
is.
The food will work.
No, I'm on that side. I'm not into that. I've never been, but
Yeah, no, I'm
food is good.
food works.
Always. The
Okay.
thing is that when you have the natural,
Uh,
bio stuff, then you wake up, you have a breakfast, you walk a little bit, and then you eat lunch, and then you have a dinner, and then you kind of relax, the body slows down, and you go sleep. But when you're up 18, 19 hours, 20 hours, right? You have this constant thinking how to satisfy the mind other than just thinking of the road.
yeah.
So you eat,
Well, let me
you
ask
stop, you charge your wheel, and you charging your wheel, and you need to eat.
another question.
So
Do you have foot problems after your EUC marathons?
no, I am usually after these long travels, I am so exhausted that I usually sleep 12, 14 hours.
Ah,
And but it's like sleeping was always my problem. I never really was good at sleeping. I was always, even as a kid, I remember always watching the ceiling, and when my parents were waking up going for work, I would fall asleep for a couple hours, and then go to school and just be like a zombie. I always had a problem with sleeping. So my hours in the day always got extended a little bit. So I didn't really need that much sleep. But usually after that, when I'm at that long track, then I need a good sleep. But it's also when you're riding, your mind is constantly thinking. You're always calculating: is this a threat? Is this guy going the right way? Is he
Yep.
is he keeping good distance? Is this tree gonna fall? Is this squirrel gonna jump in under my wheel? You don't really think of too much of yourself
Yeah.
as much as you think of the environment around, and always like your mind is always so focused on. And
Yeah.
that's why I like it, because the mind, it's always busy, so
Mhm.
you can get away from the everyday stuff.
Ah,
So
okay. Well, real talk with the super chat. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Um, while we're saying that, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you guys go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and hit that like button on the live stream. I appreciate that. So Ken said he did 201 miles with you over 26 hours, and and, and then Mike Mack is saying 250 miles for me is from Hartford, Connecticut to New York and back. That's nuts. That is a long way. I feel you, man. But he does it. He rides. Now, see, this is not true. Bunny
yeah,
said 250 miles sitting riding. That would be comfortable, but I know that you don't always sit, even though you have that big old huge
no, no,
feet.
no.
You stand a lot.
You cannot always sit, because
Mm-mm.
um your back will hurt eventually. It's especially when you go for these long rides, you have heavy backpack. So if I go to like environment where the road is nice and smooth, I can sit. I usually sit for like an hour. But then when I go to environment where the road is really bad, like Connecticut, really shitty roads, especially the south side, where like New Haven, New London, and that area.
Yeah,
Some of these small roads, they are really, really bad, and I understand people don't really put that much money in it to
yeah,
maintain them. You cannot sit; you have to stand,
yeah,
because it all goes to your body. But it's also good when you stand a little bit, because you need circulation in your feet too,
yeah.
right?
They do say
But yeah.
fall asleep if I not they start to get that
Oh,
ting.
I did,
So I
I did.
so I move my feet. I flex my feet while I'm sitting. Then I stand. Then I flex my feet while I'm standing, trying to keep that going. Uh, Bunny Slipper
Yeah.
says my feet hurt without the right shoes after 5 minutes of riding, so sitting for long distances. Well, yeah, you got to find the shoes that work for you. And nobody, I mean, and of course, this is my opinion, but most people share this opinion. Nobody can tell you the right shoes to ride with. It's the right shoes for you. Like the right shoes for me may not be the right shoes for Archie. The right shoes for him may not be the right shoes for Mickey or for Melody. The shoes are the shoes that work for you, but you got to do some trial and error, see which shoes feel good to you. And sometimes what I found is I would buy a shoe and I'd be like, oh, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the best shoe ever. And then I ride with it and I'm like, I don't know if I really like that much. So I have
Yeah.
3 or 4 pair of shoes that I'm like, um, I don't know. So my Nikes with the green lime green in them right now are the ones I'm using. But I got those skater shoes and thought those were good because they're high top but I didn't particularly care for riding in them. So it depends. It depends on you. What do you like to ride in, Archie, for shoes?
I got used to riding in Vans,
Yeah,
over the ankles
I was
on the
saying.
skateboard, and I would damage them, because I would ride so much. I would damage them every 3 months. So I would have to get new shoes, especially on the skateboard when you're standing on the basically grip tape, it would come off.
Yeah,
But on the unicycle, I keep using them, and I have one pair for about half year. Usually when it gets too loose, when the shoes gets too big and too loose. I don't like that. I like that little bit tighter feeling
Right.
because if you need to make, if you need to make the move left and right, if you need to hard carve
More
because
response.
of something, then
Yeah, they're responsive. That's good. So,
they're responsive.
um,
So yeah. So vents, whatever the tall vents are, I don't really care about the color, black, white, whatever. It just
well, you don't.
I buy usually two. I usually buy whatever. I usually buy two or three, and then if I ride in a colder weather, I put a gorilla tape in the front of one so it blocks the cold air. And there you go. And I know that you would not, that you would hate it,
No, I'm
but
not putting
whatever.
no gorilla tape on my damn shoes. That's not. But Melody is asking what what are some tricks and tips for doing 250-mile ride? What would you give? She's asking, what would you say?
So, so for me, what I found, and it's really not challenging riding this long because I found ultimate way of riding where I don't use any power of any pushing. My feet are not tired.
Ah.
I get little numbness in 2016 from skateboarding, and it's still there. No, I do have a little numbness there because obviously there's not enough circulation in the feet, especially if you're standing for a long time or even if you're sitting. But I have a big feet. Make your seat longer
Yep.
and shift yourself forward.
Mm-hmm.
Let the weight, the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful everything.
Right. Right.
Let it do its job. And I understand that this is not maybe easier for lighter people,
Right.
but if you don't have the heaviest wheel like the Monster Pro, um, if you sit a little bit forward, it goes. It has so much power, and I don't use power pads. That's one thing I never used. I don't use power pads, so I just use my body, and my feet. They are not, when you have the foot pedal like this, right? Then my foot, my shoe would be like this on the corner. And it's resting on the top, and this is basically the foot, and it just rests like this. And I just use the small portion of, balancing the wheel. Everything is done to my butt, and because I am forward, if I need to accelerate, I still stand. I just lean forward with my up body, right? And if I need to slow down, I just lean back
Mm-hmm.
with in the seat. But my legs are basically the same, and that's why sometimes I stop. Sometimes I would stop every like hour, 30 minutes, just to do a little walking and just to get a little bit of that um, feeling back in my feet. Usually the right foot is a little bit more stressed than the left one, but I just shift your center of gravity forward
So
and let
when you're talking about your foot on the pedal, you're talking about your front of your foot on the front of the pedal.
mm,
Right? Okay.
yeah,
Because the way you did
basically
it,
the film.
look,
And
like this.
well, I did it like this. If you imagine that this is the front of
Right.
the
That,
thing,
but
right? So
that's
this would be
saying,
the foot up, yeah.
that's why I'm saying it because I know what you mean, but I want to make sure that because I've ridden with him and he told me that, but I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
everybody else
So
watching
like
knows what I'm saying.
imagine that this is the shoe, right? So just like that,
Yeah.
some sort of like so, right? And really really easy resting. And of course, there are times that you have to use it. You have to be, you have to put a lot of pressure. And I spend a lot of times on the trails too, where you cannot sit like this. Because
No.
if you're sitting like this and you go over the curb or stone or rock or a root, you keep falling, right? It's gonna move you forward. So there's a time where you have to obviously realize what to do in terms of your own safety. But this is my preferred way. Just rest your feet
I hear.
and
I hear.
just let it go.
I usually do that anyway because when I'm seated, I'm my foot is kind of on the ball of my foot at the front of the pedal. I don't necessarily let it fall off the
Mm.
edge, but I put the ball of my foot on the front corner of that front pedal. excuse me, and that's when I'm seated, so I can do a little bit, like you said, lean forward, and that's why I love seated riding, because when you lean, you
Right,
take off,
right,
and you don't have to do anything with your feet. You
right, right.
mentioned a long.
And but on the long trips, you also have, you have as I said, you do have a heavy backpack. Usually, you have a charger, you have some food, extra clothing. Um, so you really need to go a little bit forward with the body to be comfortable,
Mhm.
and you're gonna feel that. So it's not like uh it's not like going around the block, etc. It's like you have to get used to it, and of course, be comfy. Have a seat. You know that I started with the regular monster seat, which is about 4 inches, right? And and I start feeling that I'm sitting too low, so I put extra foam to 2 inches, and was okay. Okay, another 2 inches. That's okay, another 2 inches. So then I had this much foam, which was about 25 centimeters of foam that I
The
was sitting on, and but the foam seat was breaking. The seat was breaking all the time, especially when you go into the side, when you need to carve because you have so much leverage on that foam, you just came off. So I 3D printed a space service basically, which is, about 4 or 5 inches,
yeah,
and that sits on the top of the shell, and then I put the foam.
yeah.
And I'm not even sitting down. I'm just basically almost standing. You know.
You're like leaning on something. You're not.
Yeah, 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 it's like it's a good foot one foot above the regular seat,
Okay,
but
so
it's it's different.
Archie, I'm gonna try and catch up because we have quite a few things said in the chat here. Mickey said that Sly Dog got injured. I didn't hear about that. I don't know how bad he is. I hope it's not too bad because Sly Dog just came over from one wheels,
One meal, yeah,
and he got into the EUCs, and I was like, finally, because he's got such a good spirit. I figured he was gonna do a lot on these EUCs, and I guess Mickey said he got hurt. So I'm hoping we're down there. Somebody else said something about it. I'll scroll down
yeah,
going here. But also, Real Talk said an EUC cannonball run would be epic. That sounds like a good
absolutely,
idea, brother. We might have to set
absolutely,
something up.
absolutely.
That sounds
You
like
know, you have a Ken here who is in Chicago,
yeah,
and Sly Dog is also in Chicago. In fact, Andrew came here a couple of years back. He was riding with us on the skateboards. Um, so I was thinking going to actually visit Ken, which is 1,000 miles. Go there, 1,000 miles there. Go it in maybe 3 4 days, and come back, get some rest there, and come back. Do it in a week. Um,
yeah. Listen,
but this is the seed.
oh,
This is how basically I form the seeds from these foams. I used to carve it for my kayaks, and I keep using it. It's a little bit harder than the regular seed, but it definitely works.
yeah.
So.
His if you guys haven't seen his wheel, seeing his wheel is like it's functional. It ain't pretty, but it's very functional. He does. You got it backwards.
Meaning turning my head.
Let me tell you, his wheel. The first time I saw his wheel, I had to take a minute. I said, wait, what? Because he's got
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff on that wheel, and then his helmet too, with the double lights that are brighter than the sun. like, but he does all this because it's functional. Archie's more
yeah,
into functional than he is aesthetics. So I have to give him credit because he does research and he trial and error, and he'll get it. If he wants something different, he'll get it. So okay, Patrick McGowan is asking favorite footwear. Archie said his favorite is still the skater
vents.
the skater shoe Vans. I don't know why
Yeah,
name of the shoes, but Vans, and mine is still Nike. I like trail riding shoes a lot, but recently I got a nice pair of 3/4 high top Nikes that are really working for me. I got a pair of boots. I got a couple different pair, but the Nikes are the ones I like right now. So let's see. Oh, Stealth Phoenix said, "Yo, the beats in the countdown clock get me so hype." Me too, brother. That's why I got them there. Archie asked me about it too. He said, "You gonna start drumming again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can't help it because the music it gets me hot. I be ready to get down. Gets me ready
There
for
you
the
go.
show, right? You gotta be hype. Gotta be hype." All right. Let's see. Sitting Jim never stands. How many times you change in 1 month? Oh, how many tires have you changed in 1 month?
None.
None.
So none. I guess I'm lucky, but my first Monster tire had 10,000 miles on it. My second Monster tire had 5,000 miles on it, and I broke the motor. And my third Monster tire, which is on the the 3108, has 16,000 miles on it now, and
Good God.
it's not like new. It's not like new, right? It's not like new, but um, it has still tread. So I think I'm still good. The original, I think it's the C117,
Okay.
the original tire, the Continental that came with the Monsters. Um, might be here somewhere. Yeah, this
Yeah,
one.
you got a lot.
And I have like 4 of them unused here. Haven't
So
haven't changed them, and
you have the tires there. You just
and
haven't changed them because you didn't need to. Is that why you didn't change?
I didn't need to. Yeah, I thought that hey, I would be getting pumped. I thought I'm gonna have punctures and this and that, and I'm not going into like a jumping in the in the construction zone when you have a lot of nails, and I'm not gonna be riding somewhere where when I see glass on the road.
Right.
So on my like bike days, I
Mhm.
would avoid it. I would watch that. I would watch for that line and see if I can avoid that.
I got you.
But never really. Yeah.
So Melody says 250 miles in Los Angeles is like miles from Los Angeles to Vegas for her. Listen, Tiffany, I could tell you. I mean, Tiffany, Melody, I could tell you that would be heaven for me. Just hearing Los Angeles to Vegas, I could do that on a wheel. Just watching some of the views out there. You guys have some of the most amazing views. Watching, some of Marty's videos. Watching, Zen, just watching even yours, Melody, watching some of the things that you guys put up, I'm like, man, I would love to ride. So I can't wait to come out there, which is coming up later this year. So I could see doing 250 miles. If I lived out there, I would easily be doing the mileage that Archie is doing. But
You will because we're gonna come to get you in Springfield, and you're gonna come by with us to Boston, and then gonna go back.
I'm probably gonna do that at one point at least. At least at one point, I'm gonna have to do that, Archie.
Yeah,
Oh, here
it's
we go. Here we go. I didn't get to it quickly enough, but Showtime. She said, I'm the best
again.
sitter. Listen, Showtime, she be on that MSX and she'll sit down, and that's the only time she's fearless. Like when she's standing up and we go through jumps or woods and stuff, she's like, hold up, hold up, hold up. But we're on the road and she sits down, she's fearless. She does like Mach 10 sitting down on that MSX. she goes by me like, I'm like, yeah, all right. Hold on. Real Talk said Crouching Tiger Showtime. That's right. She was at the rally though. Y'all saw her. If you watch the video, she was low to the ground and she was going. I was like, all right, getting that short.
See, I'm not
Course.
good at that thing.
Huh?
I'm not good at these things. Like I'm not really a technical guy in writing. I am, I'm a polar bear. You know what I mean? I just go and I go over it, and If I should be technical, I just go to that, use the power and just go to it. But
Oh,
you
uh,
know, it's hard to stop this mess, you know. So
you need power pads to stop all that.
yeah, but you know, that's the thing. People ask me why I don't use power pads, and the reason for that is because the way I ride and sit on the wheel,
Right, you don't need
the
them.
legs would the no, it's not even that. The legs would get caught. I remember when Matthias first made these power pads in like end of 2018, beginning of 2019. You know, the EUC guy,
Yeah.
and I was telling him, hey, it's not gonna work if you got like to sit in and push your legs forward. The minute you're gonna try to brake, you're gonna hit that pad,
Mm.
right? And you're gonna slip off the wheel. And you know the
So
way, and I show him pictures, and
yeah,
I show him pictures how I like to ride, and he said, yeah, you
it,
probably got a point there.
but it depends, Archie, because it depends on which ones you're using. And of course, I don't have my other ones. I should have brought a bunch out, but um, like the one I have here on the V11. This is
Yeah,
this is the version 1, but the version 2 is a little bit smaller because some people they had that idea and they talked to Chris Clark about it because some people were saying that if it was too big for them to get their legs out and around when they go to sit down.
right.
So you can have
Mm,
thinner ones that are not as hard for you to get out and get around. But even with those, the ones I have them on my Sherman, I have the Gen 2s on my Sherman. It's easy. When I sit down, it's easy to pop my legs out and go. I don't even think about it anymore. But I mean, it is something
right,
I had to think about initially because power pads were thicker and made like a big, like a hard pillow, and they were just so much there. So they started
right.
making them a little thinner, a little less material. Thinking about that. So the way they're made now, those the Clark pads, the side pads, um, they're a little bit easier to get around. So when you sit down,
Right. Right, but if if you spend 80% of riding sitting,
yeah,
then you don't really need it.
yeah. I go off
You
road.
know,
I like to go off road, up hills, jump things. So I like to have the pads to help move the wheel along. It definitely made a huge difference when I
yeah,
started pads.
because you're so skinny. That's why.
Yeah, right. So Reed Carson said, well, first of all, Double G said after 7 years of riding, the pain goes away. Yeah. Uh, Reed Carson said, I broke my right foot a few years ago, and Zoinks, does it hurt after about 30 minutes of riding? That's something, Reed, man. You're just gonna have to find the right shoes, work your foot out, you got to get past it. Honestly, I mean, a
Right,
broken foot is not like it's not real. It's real pain, but you got to figure a way around it because that's the one thing about these wheels. When you're out there, it's just you and the wheel. So you got to figure out how to make it work for you because what works for me may not work for you. We can give you ideas that we use because my feet start to ache. And like I said, I'll sit down for a minute and flex my feet, start flexing them and moving them around and stuff, and then get back up and get back into it. So everybody's different. But Paul Stallone,
and
he's
you
he's
know
he's just
the big.
Art,
I
oh,
remember the big
you're cutting out, Archie. Your signal, I think, over there is a little rough. Uh,
because
hold on. He said, Archie, we need to do a group ride on the New York City Empire State Trail camping. I don't know if you're familiar with that trail, Archie.
Mhm. And go back to Montauk too.
Say again.
So I saw some posts recently on the trails
Yep.
that go from New York all the way up, like Hudson.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Like you're frozen, but we can hear you.
Okay. Should we restart? Should I restart it?
No, no, it should you should catch up.
Looks like
It's something about the signal over there.
yeah, something about the signal. I don't know what's going on. I'm on the home Wi-Fi, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Let me connect back, okay?
Okay. All right, if you wanna.
Okay, let me connect back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can kill me and I connect back. Hold on.
Okay, and I'm gonna do some.
Hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so we're gonna give him an opportunity to try and re his self over there. So is Begode his favorite company? I'm pretty sure he's gonna say yes because he works with them a lot. But I'll let him answer that when he comes back. Panda versus Marty long distance champ. What's unfair is that Marty's got those beautiful long roads out there. It's kind of hard to beat somebody who's got that kind of area to ride. And Panda's here riding in New York and Boston and like, snow, and like it's not the same. Marty doesn't have to deal with the weather and stuff here that we have here. So okay, he's trying to come back in. I can see you now, but we can't hear you. So let's see. Yeah, he is a proper long range. That's for sure. Okay, so Showtime said something that I want to address here. Showtime said something. She said that V is the best standing rider that she knows. I'm gonna say, booyah! I agree. V does her thing. She's so light, but she gets into it so much. So I give her a whole lot of credit. Let's see. Is a style I know it feels like learn. Okay, let's see if we can get him back in again. How you doing over there, Archie? You okay? he's still tapping buttons. All right, so let's see. Brian said the EXN is coming tomorrow. All right, man. All right. Let's see. Oh, Mickey said that Sly Dog still broke his leg, got hit by a car, got major surgery, spikes, and the whole nine. Oh my God. Ooh, that hurts me just thinking about it. Oh, I wish him a speedy recovery, that's for sure. Isn't Rob K going to ride all the way from Florida? I don't know. Is he? I don't know. Hold on. Let's see if we can get Archie. You in there? Try it one more time. Archie, you in there? I see a blur. I don't know what's going on with your Wi-Fi on that end. Oh,
communication.
I can hear you, Archie. See, I can see you. Archie, can you hear us? Just technical difficulties. Anyway, so yeah, I feel bad that he broke his leg. Definitely. That's not something I want anyone to deal with. Let's see. Yeah, Ken said he's gonna meet halfway.
Okay. Well, let's see if it's gonna work. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine now, Archie. All right, so Archie's back. So
Sorry about it.
So Arch, somebody asked the question: Is Gotway Begode your favorite company, and why? That was a
Well,
question while you were reconnecting.
so for what I do in terms of the writing, yes, because there is no, at least there was no product for me of the size for me and the range. Okay, and I know that people will say, oh, Sherman this and Sherman that. However, Sherman for me is still very small wheel. Sherman for me is the same size of MSX, and MSX for me was very small wheel. Right? So when I tried to sit on MSX, I would have to put 1.5 foot long seat on it to be on the same, same level.
That's too much.
It just didn't. And I don't get me wrong, I try those wheels, but they just feel very small under me. I don't mind the weight because when you go to micro cushions, 20, 30 pounds on the top doesn't really matter.
Right.
No, no. What then matters is the wheel diameter, how it handles when you turn left and right. If it feels too wobbly, like 18XL, Kingston 18XL, when I tried that wheel, I don't gonna get hurt because it felt like like comparing mountain bike compared to road bike. The very skinny tire, very nimble left and right. But for a guy like me, you know, it's just once you get used to that comfort of the big wheel,
Yeah.
big tire, going back,
It's hard.
it's just not that. And I'm not saying that, hey, maybe emotion with the 100 wheel, they will come up that with big white tire, I don't think that they will go to 22 inches tire. I don't believe that.
No,
It would be
supposedly
nice.
they're going back. Supposedly they're going to a 16-inch, maybe.
Next one.
I don't know.
And I want to be fair. There is a market for it, and there are. When I was getting my Monster, a lot of people said, "Don't get the Monster," and I'm like, "Well, why not?" Well, it's too big, it's too heavy, it's too slow, etc., etc. And I when I got my Monster, the first Monster V3, or actually not the V2, the first 100-volt version, I went 45 miles per hour, and I crashed at 42 miles per hour on it too. So eventually, I knew that I could go for the speed, but later, more and more, I add up miles to my to my butt. Less and less, I was going for that fast wheel. I just don't have the need to go there.
Yeah.
That speed, especially because I know that with my weight to get to the cutting point, for me it's way closer than to someone who is half of my size. And I nearly cut out when I was racing a car doing 22 miles per hour, and the wheel cut out, and I kept going, and then it regained the power. So, and it happened to me actually twice. So I know that for me there's a limit, which for some people like Flyboy in New York, or wherever he is, that they go for that speed. They love that speed. I will never be able to do that, even with the Monster Pro. Even though if it's my Monster Pro spins 208 kilometers per hour, okay, on regular thing, which is like the highest I have seen on the Monster Pro spin to. But I would never push it to that. I know that under me the wheel will suffer.
Yeah.
And
hold on a sec. I gotta say what's up to Francisco, my man, with the super chat.
Let me see if I can get back.
So, Archie, there's a couple questions for you. I want to put these up, and I want to scroll forward a little bit because we're way behind. Somebody asked, are you an artist? Real Talk is asking,
no.
Are you an artist?
I am a photographer, but I'm not an artist.
Okay, and then hold on. Then the next question was, do you play an instrument?
I used to, but not professionally. Like I used to play piano, harmonica, trumpet, guitar, but nothing really to make it into any band or anything like this. I love music.
Okay.
I love music.
So the next question, well, this ain't a question. Bunny Slipper says Panda is a UGO, an unidentified gliding object. You're not a UFO, you're a UGO. When you put all those lights on, that sounds about right.
But it was on purpose to put them, because at the beginning I was putting small lights on my skateboard. A, I was always losing them. B, I couldn't really see the potholes.
Right.
And then my friend Gary here in Boston, he had the headlight he had a headlamp on his helmet, and I'm like, dude, that's that sucks. And he's like, no, you will love it. And then I did it. I put it there, and I prefer that light over anything because
It's huge.
not only that you can aim at someone immediately if they try to go into your way like cars, but you can see things left and right in the woods, like riding at night and see animals with those lights.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Law. Law's in the house. What's up, man? I know I'm a little behind. And Law's asking, what are we talking about today? So far, we're just getting to know Panda. For those of you who haven't ridden with him and don't know who he is, we were just getting to know him a little bit. But today, I really wanted to focus on the some of the new stuff that's going on. I wanted to talk about the Monster Pro. There's a lot of stuff that's going back and forth with the Monster Pro. Brian just said that he sent his back so that he can get the updated. They updated the motherboard. They updated the trolley handle. Excuse me. What else did they update, Panda? I know there was a couple things that they updated.
So they put new fuse on it, obviously. I asked them to change the buttons because they had the kill switch button too far away from the trolley. Or it's not too far, but basically it doesn't make sense. You have the power button closer to the handle, and then you have the cutoff switch. So I asked them to change that. I asked them to change also the dip of the light because the light is dipping really low, especially if you're gonna push into it. It's a bright light, but if you're gonna push into it, it doesn't really do much. But yeah, the handle, they changed the bearings. At least that's what they are saying. I did ask them to go back to change the gasket that is between the heatsink and the opening because they used to have a white silicone foam that they were using, and that was a good one. And now they are using pressed rubber, which is mold, but it's it doesn't have enough pressure on it. I did ask them to perhaps go. This is what we had a discussion about 2 weeks ago with them. I said, can we ditch that open area of the heatsink where you have the fan taking the air from inside of the wheel and blowing it to the hole outside? And they said that they tried to have it covered, but the wheel would overheat. In fact, the wheel would go to, like 90 degrees Celsius immediately without having proper cooling. So what they did, and actually they did yesterday, they sent me a CAD file of the motor, not the motor itself, but of the wheel. And I'm thinking of designing some kind of fins that could be attached to the wheel, that when you're spinning, the actual wheel, when it spins, would create and generate enough cold air to cool down the heatsink. But of course, that's a solution when you're moving. That's not a solution when you stop or when you're going uphill or when you're stationary. So I think that there is an issue with the heating on that wheel because when I ride and outside is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 0 degrees Celsius, my wheel is around 40 degrees Celsius, and I'm just riding normal riding. Now, yes, of course, I'm a heavy guy. We can take in consideration.
Right.
But it gets hot, and I even try to have some kind of water cooling system that maybe could be used for that because they do play with the water cooling system for the K4 and for the D10-3.
That great water cooling system. Great.
But again,
that's a lot.
I tried few of them. I have few of the computer-based cooling system, and even the smallest that I could find, it's still too big to have it inside the wheel. I also bought a bunch of heat sinks that I will try to put there because once I get another wheel and I have think they sent me an additional main board.
Yeah.
So I will try to play with it, but I definitely, the goal for me is to definitely cover the hole, get rid of that stupid opening, and maybe put a bigger fan inside.
That's what
And
I was gonna ask. Is there a possibility to put a bigger fan than the one that they have on it to give additional cooling?
I believe you could do two fans like what they had before. I do have 3D brackets that used to be for the Monster regular version. You had two fans, then they went down to one fan. So you could use two fans and do that, and maybe even do like a push pull system that you have one fan coming on one side and then another fan on the other side. I was not really happy with the design what they did with covering the heatsink and the actual main board with that plastic cover that pop up on the website, on the Facebook, and on their main page. It just doesn't make sense because you don't need the heat to be trapped in the space. I mean,
Right.
if you work enough in any like area where heat is generated like computers, right? You always want to get it out, and the heat will always be on the top where the main board is. So
Right.
you have the heat from the batteries coming up, then you have the main board heating up, and it doesn't have anywhere to go. You can do extreme. You can create a duct, and like what I did on my Monster V3 when I was going to these big hills, I basically cut the shell open. I created a little bit like 3D design, duct opening. So when I was going, the cold air would blow inside,
Right.
and I would put the speaker cloth. So if there would be any moisture and dust, it would be captured by that. But of course, the flow again, if you're going uphill, you don't really make that much progress. Not with this body, you don't go that fast. So uh, the idea of having that heat to take from that outside, that's the main goal. So I think water cooling, some sort of water cooling system would be great.
No,
Maybe with
there's a lot.
you
There's
know
obviously that needs to be done with that. I'm happy that they've done a lot of updates, all the things that you just mentioned. And actually, I'm gonna pull up a checklist. EUC Addict talked to Archie and put together a checklist. So if you are getting a Monster Pro like me, one's on the way to me. When it gets here, I'm gonna list and obviously I'll be talking to Archie and trying to make sure that there's things that are looked at and made sure they're good and updated and taken care of before you go out and go too crazy on the wheel. But before I pull that up, I did want to say what's up to my man Splice. What's up, Splice? He jumped in here. So let's see. Still rock Clark pad. So Nick said I spend about 80% sitting and still rock Clark. Sure, it hits my ankles, but it's worth it when I stand. Love the locked in feeling. Me too, brother. Not everybody does, but I do. Um, so Love likes the high top skate shoes. They're the most optimal. People feel feet ache because they're not moving enough. Yeah, that's what we were saying. I know I'm behind, guys. I gotta try and catch up a little bit before I pop over. Uh, uh, Mike said AOL sucks. Yo, you ain't. Oh
okay.
man. Uh,
Yay.
so Go George Ghost says potholes for days here. Jealous for the warm weather riders. Yes, definitely, man. And yes, Zoom Wheels is gonna get a new one.
And George, we have to come. We have to meet because we were talking about. Well, I was asking him to come to Boston. So once they get ready, maybe we do something together. Yeah.
Showtime said she's gonna come. She would need to get to Vegas and get on one of your wheels. So Paul says Archie should just ride over to you. He has. That's the
I
thing,
did.
Paul. He's already ridden to my house. He said one day he said, "Hey, I'm almost there." I sent him the address, And then I come outside and there he is on his wheel with his lights and his everything. I'm like, this
I
dude.
got your jacket.
Yes, brought me my jacket from Gotway.
So
Let's see. I'm gonna keep scrolling through here. Sorry, I'm skipping a bunch today, guys. I know I was behind. Yeah. Okay. So Stealth Phoenix says, appreciate the wisdom and experience that Panda brings to the table. Timeless AF. Thanks for bringing this, man. Black Cobra. Hey, man. Look, I try to bring us together. That's what I try to do. So always try to do that. Find ways for us to talk. I'm glad that Archie is one of the people that I met when I first started. Matter of fact, that was when you got on the 16X. Remember when I brought it to your office, and he's on the 16X trying to jump the wheel. I'm like, what in the world? Let's see. EUC Vibe said, what? How dare you disrespect the godfather of EUC? Marty is a legend. Was somebody saying I must have missed that part? Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Let's see. Okay. So Mickey is saying that the new Monster Pro won't be better without a serious overhaul. And you know what's funny is I agree. But if you listen to what we were just saying, a lot of what needed to be done has been done, but there's still more work that they need to do to it to make it to where it should be.
But I also wanted to say this, that the Monster Pro is not for everybody. It's really, it's I think people shouldn't look at that wheel as a, hey, I'm just gonna get this and that's gonna be my only wheel. I think that's a wrong look at it. I think people should get smaller wheel, everyday wheel, and then take a wheel of this size as a wheel for long trips, where of course the cooling system will be some kind of better, then the water tightness will be better, then the rocking of back and forth, which I hope they finally fix with the new board, will be better. But in a retrospective, when you ride that wheel and you're sitting on that wheel, and you cannot compare that to any other wheel. It just, there's no way you can compare that. And there will be wheels that will be maybe faster going than this wheel. There will be wheels that will be faster to slow down than this wheel, lighter to carry. I would ask people not to compare that to those wheels, because it makes absolutely no sense to do that.
No, but
literally, when I asked them, make me this wheel, I knew that this wheel's gonna be giant. It's not gonna be easy to carry around. It's not gonna be easy to just take on a daily, on 30 minutes rides. It was never my intention to have a wheel like this. It was always, when I had my first wheel, the original 1845, I built my own pack for that, and immediately the wheel became 30 pounds heavier than that.
Right.
And of course the characteristic changed. Then I had the 3108 from Momo, and I put another 3108 in my backpack. Again, the characteristic of that wheel changed, right? Even my skateboards, they were always like that. I always had it to battery, so the characteristic changed. Is it good wheel for carving? No, it's not. Is it good wheel for off-road? No, it's not. But I can tell you that if you ride that wheel, and if you sit on that wheel, and if it doesn't have that stupid oscillation,
yeah,
it's the most comfortable wheel you can be on, even with the stock tire. And I done on it 850 miles. I had no problem with the tire whatsoever. I don't mind it. I don't need to carve hard on it, because the wheel.
So you did 850 miles on the real tire on the Monster Pro already.
Yeah, and I would do more if we don't have the stupid weather. No, so no.
Okay.
And of course,
Now,
of course, there are things that need to be changed. I agree with that, and
of
and
course.
I'm yeah.
But Archie, when you say don't compare it to other wheels, I agree. But I think the only wheel you really can compare this to, the only two, are the previous Monster and the Sherman.
No, you cannot compare to the Sherman
Why not?
because
I know that.
the Sherman is much smaller wheel.
Yes, I know. When I say compare it, not compare everything about it, but the Sherman has it's the fastest and the highest range.
Yeah, no, okay. But I'm not talking about that because then you could make a wheel
Mm-hmm.
with tweaking. You could have a wheel that goes way faster
Mm-hmm.
than any of these wheels. But the point is that if I am on the Sherman, okay,
Yeah.
and I try to sit on it, right?
Yeah.
Unless I would bring it up in the terms of the having it really high, then because you'll be sitting way further from the center of from
Right.
the axle,
Right. I know there's
then
different.
it's gonna change. The only way you can compare it to Sherman, and that's
Yeah.
the only way you could compare that, it's slightly the weight. But
Right.
the Sherman is lighter.
Yes.
Okay.
But Sherman is a big wheel. I know it's the wheel size itself, but I mean the overall the footprint of the Sherman. It's a big wheel compared to any
Well,
other wheel other than a Monster. So
but I think okay, if you want to compare that to something, that the closest comparison you could compare this wheel is to the Lomo 3108 Monster. That's the closest thing
because
I
it's
think you could compare that to.
okay.
Okay, that's the closest thing because of the even the regular standard Monster V3, it's way bigger than the monster than the Sherman,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you put a seat on it,
Yeah.
right? And I know that if you put Giant's seat on the Sherman, you're gonna get to the territory of the Monster V3 in terms of the sizes,
Yeah, but you
right?
don't really need. I'm telling you that Zoom Wheels Brian's seat is the seat for the Sherman. Period.
But and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's if you put Giant's seat on it,
Yeah.
that it kind of matches the size of
Yeah.
the Monster V3,
And I love it.
right?
Yeah, I love that.
And the other comparison to Sherman could be that it has the batteries balanced the
Yep.
same way because none of the previous monsters had it and you could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, there will be people that will tell you, hey, the Monster V3 had this amazing acceleration compared to the Monster Pro. Well, not for a guy like me.
Right.
When with the new pedals, it needs the big pedals. It needs
Yep.
the longer pedals, but
That,
with the big
that was the other.
pedals,
That was the other change. They changed the pedals also.
they did change, and I'm not so sure if it's for good.
Yeah.
Right? You definitely need longer pedals for that
Yeah.
because it will add less effort for you to push on that wheel. However, when they put extra longer pedals on it and you try to shift your weight a little bit forward
Yeah.
by 1 inch, then that's what you're losing on a braking. And especially if you put spikes in it, it's not like when you have the grip tape when you just slide your feet back.
Right.
The spikes will basically stop you a little bit when you want to quickly slow down. So it will take some time to get used to it.
Yeah.
But
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 it
the CNC
is
the CNC pedals
the
the
thing I
CNC pedals they made are good.
hold on, Archie. The thing I want people to understand, I agree with what he's trying to say, and I want to make sure you guys get this. He's not trying. He's saying that this wheel is not for everyone. So it has a lot of advancements in things. Plus, they're fixing some things that they should have fixed already. But the wheel is just not for everybody. That's all. It's just not. It's not a mass wheel that everybody should get, and that's your only wheel. It's just not. It's a niche wheel, even more niche than the rest of our our whole pastime here. But let me jump in the comments again real quick. Mickey says, I'm boycotting Gotway for a year. Okay, and I saw your video on that, Mickey, and I understand where you're coming from because there's a lot of things going on. Ken says, I don't know. I'm still pretty excited to get mine. I guess we'll see. I'm with you, Ken. There's a lot going on, a lot of things I'm stressed and frustrated about, but I'm still excited to get my Monster Pro when it comes in a few weeks here. So Mickey says something that kind of, he says, I would not be excited about flawed wheels being fixed with an inherent bad design. The only thing I would say to that, Mickey, and again, you know, I'm no expert, I'm just an enthusiast. What I would say is the design of certain wheels, like the MS to the MS Pro to the RS, those are all the same wheel. So they've had all that time to fix the iterations of that wheel. The Monster Pro is a bigger version, but it's different than the Monster in many ways. So they tried to make some advancements. So some of their advancements didn't go so well. Uh, I think some things are designed, you know, they need to be designed better. The cooling thing needs to be designed better. Everything else, I think they're addressing the handle and the pedals and the oscillation, and these are things that, with a wheel that size, you didn't have that problem before because you didn't have a wheel that size, that heavy, with that much weight. So I think that they're pushing forward. I'm upset about, the whole safety thing and fires, but I think that they're addressing a lot of issues. So I'm still excited to get this wheel. And I don't think that I want to let that kill all of my Gotway hopes for a whole year. But I do understand it, Mickey. I understand what you're saying. And yes, I am getting a fire kit just in case because I don't have anything safety wise, and I want to make sure I do that as well. Um, let's see. I'm gonna skip through a few. Sent it. Gotway needs a run with the next release. Can't rush out another new one. I do agree that Gotway needs to slow down a little bit and work on what they have. I don't think they should keep pushing so many wheels out at one time. Um, but I like what they put out. I just think they need to slow it down and work on focusing. I think that Sherman hit them with a gut punch and put them on their heels and made them go, okay, we're just going to release all this stuff. And they may have gone too fast. That's just my.
I think, if I can say something on that,
But
I think that when in 2019, right, and like mid of 2019, when I first heard that Gotway is working on a wheel with suspension, and this was way before I heard about the S18 and the V11. They even sent me photos of how they used to have the suspension, how they made the suspension on like M10 or whatever it was, that wheel, long 2015, right? And I was kind of laughing about it. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I would really want that. And I think that when the first rumors of the competition came about the suspension wheel, they wanted to make that, and at that time they announced two new wheels, right? They announced it as an assassin, or as a basically suspension wheel, 20 inches,
right,
and then they said that they're gonna make another fast wheel, right? The issue was, and this is what I think a lot of the dealers were dealing with, where a lot of the people at that time were buying MSX, the last version of the 100-volt MSX, which already had a 12-volt fan in it, and suddenly, everybody was waiting for the orders, but then they decided to do MSP, right? And the MSP, there was only one version at that time, and that was the torque version, right? And no one was really, questioning of that wheel, because we knew that that wheel is coming. So you had the MSP, and you had supposed to have sometimes later on that year the assassin, right? So the focus was to get the wheel out as soon as possible, obviously, and send it out to all these, testers, and get feedback back. But then, when all the people that had ordered the MSX and still didn't get it and learned about the MSP, they were all upset, right? Because they all wanted the fast wheel, right? They all wanted the new wheel, MSP with the speakers finally. And Gotway did it twice. This thing that basically they even didn't ship the old batches out, and they already announced new batches, and people start canceling the orders. They did the same thing with the RS. But the focus of the 2000, the end of 2019 was to have, MSP out. And at that time, remember Daniel from Poland, he came with his faster version.
Right.
So somehow, I think Jason probably, and I know that not probably, I know that Jason wanted to be on that as well. He wanted to have a faster MSP. So there was a discussion how to handle the business, in terms of having that wheel be available also in the United States. And I'm sure that that's when Gotway came with that, starting the names with MSP high torque and high speed, because obviously they realized that people, especially people in New York, they didn't care about wheel with much higher torque. They care about wheel that is fast. They wanted faster and faster wheel.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
then you had this, and so you had the suspension wheels. Two new suspension wheels came on the market. They both had issues. Some, the demo wheels that they got sent out, they had issues, and they had to be tweaked. And then, so I think that Gotway had this focus on, let's compete with these wheels. And then suddenly Sherman announced their wheel, and I think Gotway felt that, hey, now we need to compete with this, and they completely dropped that race against the suspension wheel, and they start focusing on competing with the fast wheel, with more better. And and it also, I kept telling them, hey, you need to put a faster wheel. Make sure that the new wheel's gonna be fast enough. Because everybody was telling me, especially from New York, hey, if the Monster Pro will be slower than this, it's gonna suck. And I keep sending this on daily basis, and 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 then there was nothing, right? They said, oh, a Monster Pro will be released sometimes in June, and I'm like, okay. And then mid-July, okay, end of July, okay, and now they said, okay, it's coming in September, right? And now in middle of September, suddenly they say, okay, we're gonna be releasing the RS, right? And EX after, and the Monster Pro after, right? And from the perspective of all that, I told them, guys, this is a huge, huge mistake. What's happening? You have 10 new products, and not so only 10 new products within 1 year, basically. You have also 10 different technologies that you put into those 10 products that are, you don't have if you change one thing, right? If you change one thing, all right, you learn from that, you test it, you get feedback, you test it. If you change two things at the same time, all right, you can handle that. But if you change so many things, you change from 18.65 to 21.700. And again, it's our fault too, because, I've been asking them since 2018 to use these beautiful cells. I built my own battery, right, from 21.700, and I've been having discussion with the CEO which to use, the Samsung 50E or the LG 50T, and he was telling me that they measure the resistance of these, and they said that the resistance on this is much higher than it's on the LG 50T, and that's why they decided to go with it. So I understand. It's also the money, right? It's also the money aspect, because the 50E was not, I don't want to say cheap, because they are not cheap. The LGs are also not cheap, but the availability of those in bigger quantities, I think they probably got better prices on that. Okay. But I don't think that they would go into 21.700 cells if we as a people wouldn't keep asking them for it.
Well, that's the problem, is that a lot of people ask for different things, Archie. And hold on, that Francisco, you had asked about the line. There's a link in the chat line. I just put it in again. Anytime anybody wants to jump in, you can hit that link and come in live if you had a question or whatever, and you want to talk to us live. But yeah, a lot of people ask for things, Archie, and I think the frustration is that they listen, but they only listen to certain people. because they don't, obviously they can't listen to everybody, because they can't make every wheel for everybody do everything. That's impossible. But I do think they just need to keep their ears open. I'm glad that you have a rapport with them, and you have some sort of ability to have conversation with them, whether they listen to you or not. Okay. And I know that what you tell them is not what everybody either, because you listen to a lot, but your point of view is your point of view. And like Mickey's a point of view seems to be a little bit different, but that's because he rides differently than you do. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's more of a speed person. They ride, they cut through traffic a lot more and looking for more high speeds than some people might. So I get it, but
And that's why I'm saying that this wheel is, it's not really for that. It's really, you have a heavy wheel this size, right? And yeah, you can master it, but if you have a car coming right at you, and you need to fill as quick as you could do on an MSX, or even maybe on the Sherman, you can do it with a small tire. You have 40% bigger tire on this than you had compared to like the 16X or Nikola. So it's, again, I think for someone who is 180 pounds and less, I would almost say that don't get this wheel, get the EXN, where unless Ken is hyped, you are hyped about this wheel because we are big guys, we are tall guys, right? Um, of course, if you have a wheel that you have to fight to ride on, I don't have to fight on it. I just sit on it, and the wheel takes off. In fact, I do 30 miles on this wheel, and I'm thinking in my head I'm doing like 80, and then I look at my either my watch or I look at my phone. I'm like, holy shit, because you just don't feel that. It's
what?
that.
On which wheel are you talking about?
The monster wheel. I mean, if I'm on my V3, right, I do my 18, 20 miles per hour, and I feel how the wheel is grinding under my weight, and okay, baby, I'm gonna go easy on you today. And if I'm on the Monster Pro, I was riding the other day. I was sitting with Jose, and I was going uphill 40 miles per hour, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go faster. And then I look at it, and I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
So because you're heavy, you have more leverage on it.
Well,
And the
is I feel that way on the Sherman. I felt that way on my V3. First of all, my V3, I felt like I could fly on it, and I felt like it was going fast quickly.
Right.
On the Sherman, I feel the same way. The Sherman takes a little bit to get going, but when I put that seat by the Zoom wheels comfort seat on, or speed seat rather, on there, and I lean a little bit, I'm like, yeah, like I'm gone. And so I'm hoping that that I get the same experience that you've had on the Monster Pro when I get it. The same experience.
How much do you weigh?
Right now, 235.
All right, so you're lightweight, okay?
Yeah.
So if you let's say 260, 270, and you put your backpack with your fast charger,
Yeah.
then you're gonna be around 300, with this. And my helmet, with all the lights, everything. I saw 300 miles. When I stood on the Sherman, right, I thought it's gonna break under me because it just felt very small, and I felt how the wheel is struggling, right? When if I have that compared to the Monster Pro, it's not that. It's big wheel. It doesn't struggle. The power, it's very linear, right? But if you take somebody of, let's say, size of Mickey, then he has to fight to have that Monster Pro going to that thing. While on the Sherman, he will be mile ahead.
Right.
So as I said, for most of the people that are his size,
different people, different wheel.
absolutely.
I get it. So some people are making comparisons. Like Mickey said, the Sherman sits nicely between the MSX and the Monster. I agree with that. And then I don't know, George. George says the Sherman is surprisingly small. The V11 is bigger. No, the V11 may be taller and that's only because the V11 has the suspension that pushes it up. So it's definitely not bigger though. When you say bigger to me, bigger means girth and size, not just height. And the Sherman is much heavier than the V11. I love the V11's height, but it's skinny and tall, whereas the the Sherman feels more like a bulldog. It's wider, it's rougher, and it's when you put that, especially once you put that speed seat on it, the V11's definitely not as big. So I can't agree with you there, George. But that, again, that's just my view. I do happen to have both of those wheels, but that's just how I look at it. Okay, see, Claude says, I'm kind of down with Panda. The monster rides like a Bentley. Yeah, I love the ride.
You cannot compare that, and you shouldn't be comparing that, right? It's like a container ship and a speedboat, right? So yeah, one will get you a lot of speed and carving left and right. Mm-hmm. The other one, you just sit on it and you just go and you fall asleep. It's like being on a sofa. And I personally prefer that.
Yeah.
Because for long trips, it's amazing. Now, how the battery will act in summer, we will see. In the winter, it's okay. In the winter, I did about, what was it? I did about 75, 79 miles on one battery. And I was really, at the beginning, I was not nice to it at all. I did hit 40 miles per hour a few times. And then later on, I was milking it, right? But of course, if you're going to go 30 miles per hour, that wheel likes to eat. So you're probably going to do 50 miles and that's it. Maybe even less. Again, it depends. I rode when it was like 28 degrees outside. So I know the batteries, because there's so many of them, they can handle it. But again, I cannot really compare like Ian did in Speedy Feet, right? He compared one wheel from summer to the other wheel in winter. Let's compare that at the same time, right? Let's compare that at the same time how it behaves.
They're apples and apples.
Of course, and I asked Gotway that too. I said, hey, Sherman has lowered the threshold of the safety. You have the voltage cutoff. Basically, when the wheel will stop spinning or the wheels will basically start tilting back. Well, on a regular wheel, which is set to 78.5 volts, right? When you have only four cells in it, 4 of these, they are not going to be able to handle, right? And if you have double of that, if you have 8 of them, well, then you can go a little bit lower. And I asked them, hey, can you lower the threshold a little bit? Can you make it 76? Can you match it veteran in terms of the cutoff? And then you would gain additional 10, 15 miles on top. Because the batteries, the way they do it, they do it for safety, right? They don't want to lower it too much, because if you would be dipping, if you want to be going really, really hard and the battery would go under its point where you can charge it back, they don't want to do that because that would cause problem. But these cells, they can go fine until 2.5 volts. So they basically 40% reserve on wheel like this. I think it's nonsense, because you carry that as an extra weight with you. So why not to be able to utilize that? So maybe there might be some update to the firmware where you could eventually do it through the app. So we talked about it too, using the new app.
Yeah.
I asked a bunch of people to help me translating that into the languages. So I gave them version in Czech and version in Portuguese. And hopefully one day we can, with that new app, also update the firmware where you can set the threshold down a little bit of the battery.
That would be good. And be able to change it.
That would be fantastic, because then you could really compare that, right? Then you can really compare that to, because right now we are shooting still different products, different things.
Yeah.
So different time.
That's understandable. It's understandable as long as people realize that different wheels are different, and there's things that we can't edit about them. So sometimes we're comparing them and we're hoping, well, we're saying, well, this wheel cuts off before this one does. Yeah, because they have it set that way, and if we can't change it, then not much we can do about it. It's hard to compare them, and all you can compare factory set. So, and that brings up one of my points, Mickey. EVX put out a video today about that smart BMS, and just a smart BMS, but being able to, monitor your own BMS and be able to see what's going on in the different battery cells and battery packs rather, so that you could tell if there was a difference between this one and that one, if there was a spike in one and not the other, if there was something that was going off that you might be able to tell, and it alerts you. The guy he interviewed was saying that it sends him emails and alerts when something's going on with the wheel.
So I have two of them here. I have one like this, and I have 4 different types in other room.
What is that?
This is smart BMS. It's a BMS, basically smart BMS. It's a casing. There's another smart BMS, different version, and there's a display for smart BMS. The question from me to all of you is: are you willing to sacrifice the range in your wheel for a device like this in your wheel?
Well, they were also saying that there's a way, hoping that going forward there will be a way, because you don't have to put it in each battery pack, and one smart BMS could run and monitor all the battery packs. So I guess the idea is to make it smaller so that
you cannot do that at the moment. And because the reason why you cannot do that at the moment is because when you have it as an independent circuit, and then you connect it all together, when you have smart BMS, even Sherman doesn't have that. They do it separately, right? They keep the pack separately. But if you have 10 of these, or 4 of these, or 5 of these, to balance them together, it's way faster if they are 2 or 3, right? Sherman went with the design that they used 5, which is much harder to balance. And maybe that's why they had the problems with those batteries, that they would not be balanced on the left and right side. And they would get a report to the board, and it would show on the display battery low, right? Because it is harder, even from perspective from my experience from building a skateboard. When you had batteries that were 4P, they were easier to balance, and they were very close to each other than when you had an 8P or 10P, unless you had a big BMS that was able to handle the current. And what does it mean to be able to handle the current? Not to get it out to your wheel or when you're charging it, but also flow the energy from one cell to the other, basically. And that's what makes the batteries level. And the smart BMS, if there could be a breakthrough in making a very small smart BMS that can be added to each of the packs, then that would be ideal. And then you could write a program or code that could report to your main board, and you could get it to your app, or you could have it individually as a Bluetooth, as most of these BMSs that I have and I showed you, they have that reporting, but they all work on the individual level of the pack. It just when you have the unicycle, right? Once you have one BMS on all batteries, and imagine there is an issue, there is no redundancy, right? It's because the system, the way they have it, right? They bypass the BMS completely on the discharge. So if you have just one battery, and if there's an issue with that battery,
right,
it will affect everything, and there's a potential that you will fall. Unlike bikes, where you have 2 wheels, you can still slow down and brake. On a skateboard, you can always use your foot brake and slow down. But with unicycles, what they did, they bypassed that on purpose. So if there would be an issue, the second battery could still carry enough current to help you and to slow you down.
Right.
And unfortunately, when you have one smart BMS and it all goes together, if there's a short, it would be short on the entire system. I do agree with Mickey that smart BMS is mandatory. Absolutely, you need to do that. But I don't know how soon we can get very small BMS to get to us. I saw that some of the groups in Czech Republic, they send me. It's not even a BMS. It's just a monitor that is powered by USB 5 volts. That you can basically see the voltages of each cells, and it's just hook up as a parallel display. It's only for reporting. It doesn't do any balancing, nothing like that. It just shows you this is the voltage of this battery, this is the voltage of this battery. And this battery meaning when they are two together, then you have the voltage of two together. Or if you have five on Sherman, then you have five, and it will tell you the difference. And that's a little step closer to what we need to do. Of course, automatic reporting is great, but I can say for sure that if people want to really, push on these manufacturers with where to go, then there has to be some kind of source of that, what to put there. Now, if you look at the BMS that was the original BMS that Gotway had, which was the first the PCB board, there was no protection on it. There was a one MOSFET. Then they put two MOSFETs. Then they put more and more and more. And the latest BMS they made, it's the most advanced BMS there is in their wheels. Is it smart BMS? No, not yet. Maybe they can. Maybe the company that makes these for them can implement that. And I don't know. We talked about it so many times.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely it's absolutely mandatory.
No matter what, they definitely have to do something about adding this, because the more we are looking forward, the more we're getting into it, the more we're acquiring of these companies. So they have to continue their R&D and try and do what they can to give us what we're looking for, because obviously we're the consumers. I did see a good post today from Gotway that I liked, celebrating. I guess they were celebrating their new year and talking about what they've gone through and stuff. And I threw a comment in there, and have to look at it. They've had a rough year. A lot of things have happened, and as long as there's
Yeah, but why right? You have to go why is that right? So, and I grill them all the time. I told them, guys, this is a stupid what you're doing, because what they did, they released wheels that are not finished. They sent them out because of the PR. And I told them, look, when you have industry of automotive industry, or helicopters industry, or you have motorcycles industry, none of these would send something out that is not finished. You will get it out.
something happened. Something happened to your sound. It sounds funny. I can hear you, but you sound kind of funny.
Maybe I became more fun.
It just went like half of it went out. Like I can hear part of it.
What I'm saying, every like the manufacturers of that have at least vested thinking of promoting stuff.
Hold on.
They will not really.
Hold on. Try what you did before. Disconnect your headphones and then reconnect your headphones.
I don't even use the headphones. Okay, let me. Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Something happened because it sounds funny now. But while he's doing that, I just wanted to say what's up to my man over here, Marty. Appreciate you, Marty. Wanted to give you some props. Definitely good to see you here. Yes, the Godfather in the house. All right, we'll talk to him about this in a second. Yeah, I want him to use solid state batteries too. Upgrade.
Okay, can you
Yes, better.
hear me?
Yes, yes, Archie, that's definitely better.
All right.
You good?
Yeah, but I don't hear you, man.
You don't hear me? Oh boy.
I mean, I hear you, but
Okay. All
all
right.
right, now, okay,
Okay. So
good.
okay. So
So hopefully it will. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you good.
All right.
One of the things that somebody just Mickey just said, he said, since you talk to them a lot, can you make them start using solid state batteries?
Well, let's. I mean, we can talk about solid state batteries, but solid state batteries are garbage at the moment.
Uh-huh.
And when look where we went. 10 years ago, you had companies that were talking about lithium batteries. You had people that you talk about the salt batteries. You had batteries that were carbon-based batteries. You had the batteries that were based on glass, silica. You had the batteries that are based on different types of metals. You had the batteries that you can cut in the middle, and they would still output power. You can push screwdriver through them, and they still can output power, and there will be no fire. However, the wheel would cost $100,000 with batteries like this. So, lithium-ion batteries became really the leader of this because of the volume. I mean, if you were buying this battery when it first came on the market, this single battery was about $22,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually it became $2, $3, $4 battery. Um, you know, if you look at the vaping industry, whatever how you call it, uh, they kind of been the push of having the battery that can output a lot of power in a really small um, size, which obviously um, you know compared to previous batteries, which were the lead acid batteries, which were heavy and yeah, they were good. They were they were safe relatively, but they're just so heavy. So look where we were 10 years ago, where we are now, and that does not have been that much progress in that, I would say. And you have, every day you have nearly message that there's this new company coming with this new battery, but how many of them really made it to the production? And you don't have to take my word for it. You can watch, if you know the Rimac Automobili from Croatia. They Mate Rimac. He is super smart guy and is always in development of batteries. In fact, he is developing batteries for not only his Rimac C2 sports car, but for Koenigsegg, for Porsche, for I think Hyundai has a stake in his company. He does work on the new Aston Martin Valkyrie battery development. And if you listen to what he says about the batteries, yeah, of course we want to have solid state batteries and safest batteries and batteries that you can charge to potential that is, way better than the current gas or the regular fossil fuel. But we are not there. If you compare that power, what the electric motors can do, yeah, it's there. You definitely beating combustion motors. But in terms of the batteries, uh, power to weight ratio, it's just not there. And it will take some time. So of course it will take time, but I don't think that for next 10, 15 years there will be an amazing breakthrough in the batteries, because even if you look at the Tesla now, the Tesla battery is way bigger, right? Yeah, it has more power, but it's way bigger. Now, if you can change the shape of the batteries, that you would be not losing by the fact that it's circular, right? Because it's circular. So if you take 4 of these and you take it square in terms of the space, so there's a huge loss in it. And if you could somehow manage that, that's where the benefit would be. And then maybe you don't need to have batteries that are designed this way. But at the moment, this is as the best as it gets. And in fact, there's a new model of this 50E, which is the 50G. And hopefully Gotway will have those in their wheels. And they said that they would eventually, but getting these cells at the moment, it's also more expensive. So, it's all about, obviously, it's all about profit. But I think that in general, Gotway made a huge mistake with, as I was saying, releasing product to the market that has not been tested. And I understand that you have that niche to put it out to even get the sales. A lot of people doing that. But as I said, automotive industry doesn't do that. They release a product, they show maybe a concept somewhere, or they show prototype on Geneva Motor Show, etc., etc. But no one tested real. And then they go and they buy it. They put a camo on it, they try, they put different things, and they test it, and they test it, and they test it. And that car doesn't go to the market until they know exactly, and they have version 1, version 2. And you can go back to the remark, you can see that they have version 1, version 2, version 3. That's, they don't put it out there until it's proven. And of course, you have this thing where you have the social media thing, where you can jump on the wagon of it and go with it, and it's a hit or miss, right? So that has to change. That, if they want to really build good quality product, they have to focus on one wheel, one system. Don't change 10 different things. Like, as I said, they change the batteries, they change the BMS, they change the main board, they change the bearing style, right? They change the hanger style, right? I love what Marty was saying about the wheels when he was talking about um, sending a love letter to Gotway because they need it.
Yeah.
Well, they need it. I don't know if they need it. I think they need to really sit down and see where they are, right, and what they are doing. But I think that they need to realize that, okay, uh, where we were before. Like, all these wheels that I have here, they all had a problem. The shell was cracking, right? The shims I had to replace all the time. In fact, on one of the motors when I pushed really hard, the axle started spinning inside the stator inside. So I couldn't really use them, right? So those were the problems we had before. And of course, we were saying, hey, can we have different shims? Can we have different style? Maybe no shims.
Right.
I was telling them, hey, take the idea from Kingston, what they did, because the Kingston style was different, right? They had like a little hook that you didn't have to have a shims.
Right. Let me ask you this.
And
Mickey said something I don't know about, so I'm gonna ask you. He said the Zhao Zhang, I don't know how you pronounce that, or ENT BMS is what we need. Do you know about
ANT BMS?
One is ENT, but the other one is Zhao Zhang.
No, ANT BMS is basically BMS that has a Bluetooth system in it.
Okay.
But the BMS that, as I said, they have, all you need really, it's a reporting system. So, and if in terms of communication and sending it out, it's just another module on the BMS. In fact, I don't think it's that difficult to implement that. However, it takes space.
Right.
If you're gonna use the big ANT BMSs that we use for bikes that can do 100, 200, 300 amps, you don't need that for that, because you know that they will bypass that.
Right.
So all you need to do is to create a small module that would allow you to, to warn you, but not to shut it down. And
No,
that's the thing.
tell you about it.
Because the big BMSs, what they do when there's something going wrong, they shut the system down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the issue. You cannot have that.
No, we can't.
Because,
We only
you
have
know,
one motor.
when one BMS shuts it down on the battery, on full battery system, right? It will affect the other batteries too, because now you have a drop in voltage. That's how they are designed. So I agree with Mickey, and he talked about it, and you know, but are they willing to put that? Are they willing to change that? Because making new BMS, it's not just, hey, okay, let's put a monitor on it and do it tomorrow. It takes time for them to make the design, to make the die,
Right.
to make the mold.
Well, whatever they need to do, they need to do it, because it's a wave coming. So I know that they need to make that happen. Archie, NYC mom wife teacher is asking, what's your YouTube channel? I don't think you still have yours, do you? You don't still have a channel, do you? Okay, you're not using the one you had. How about that?
So I had a big channel. I had a huge YouTube channel. I had 100,000 subscribers on that channel, and I got blocked because of the copyright. Because it wasn't channel of my content.
Uh-huh.
But I put stuff there that at the beginning I had a lot of content, and then I put something there. I put opera. I put Mozart opera there, and I put three different parts of that opera, and I got 3 strikes, and they deleted that thing. So after that, I have little channels, but I prefer this, talking to people.
Okay.
And then I just take videos when I guide and I talk. But no, I mean, um, I when I'm there, when I'm guiding, I just focus on the guiding. And many times when I do videos, like, I just put it out there because I know I don't have to pay attention to the quality or pay attention to, like, from photography perspective, I love things to be perfect. And I used to record concerts, and I used to do effects um, for local companies, and I would go back and forth, and that would be my obsession. And with the wheels and the skateboards, I just felt that I don't want that to be the obsession. I want the skateboarding to be the obsession, and just escape to that.
Right.
And then when I need to go back to my work, I just edit my photos or videos, and I don't use that. So YouTube channel, I thought of it many times because I've been, watching a lot of YouTubers, not just in electric skateboarding, but all general, influencers, and not just influencers, but also, I love documentaries when people go on some travel. Like there was this guy that took his plane and he flew around the world, and he would have these chapters where you have this guy that lives in Jersey, Tucker God. He has a paramotor, and he flies from different places, and I like that because there's something going on. But when you're riding with electric skateboard, when you're riding with unicycle, and it all becomes the same thing, it's just I don't feel that I need to, because there's enough of you there already.
Okay.
There's plenty of you, and you all do a good job. You keep doing what you guys doing, but I just
Well, we will keep doing what we're doing, Archie. I guys like you, I want to make sure that we bring in, because it is a community, and it takes different types, and we all have different type of people in this chat room right now. And I appreciate everybody's contributions to this, so I appreciate yours.
I think I think I was on one of the first episodes which you started, and you asked me to be there with Jedediah, and I think
you were
Showtime and V. I think that if I may ask, in terms of the community, right? I know that people wanted to make decisions on what to do, what not to do. we set other things that we have to say. Let them deal with it. If it's, if per se Gotway or Kingston or Emotion or Sherman, or whatever company there will be next, um, let them fix it, what they have to fix, right? Um, in terms of the safety and fires and things like that, um, you have always two things. I mean, how many wheels there are sold, how many how many wheels they are damaged, but by not by the design, but the user fault, right? Um, can we all put it in the same category? I don't know. Like the video in Poland where the monster Pro burned down.
Right.
I can guarantee you it's been done because of water inside. How the water got inside that wheel? That's a question, right? Did it get there to the heatsink, or did it get there because somebody forgot to put a silicone all around it, like my wheel came?
Right.
I go to the drain first day, full of water. I'm like, what the fuck?
Not good.
And I picked up and immediately contacted them and I said, hey, what's going on? So I understand that during the assembly they did not put the silicone into the major points.
And
And
that,
I contacted everybody,
that's
that I knew
that
that has the field.
we have to look at that, Archie. And I'm gonna pull that up right now just so you guys, because we're running long here, because I knew we would. I'm gonna put this up on the screen right here. You guys can see that there is a quality control checklist, and this is from the EUCaddict.com. He put it up. He talked to Archie and went through a few things. And these are just some things that you should probably do if you're getting a Monster Pro coming your way. These are the
And not Evan, it's not just Monster Pro. I think you should be doing these things on every single wheel.
Okay, every single wheel he's saying you should open and check. But I'm looking at this specifically because of the issues that have been happening recently. And I think because of the issues, it's going to push us over to doing this more. More people doing this, opening your wheel, taking a peek at it. Splice, you were asking about the pedals. These are the pedals that they're going to be putting on there. They're not the CNC pedals, but I think they're die cast, right, Archie?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So here are the fuses that they have in there. So you got to make sure you take a peek at them, make sure everything's connected well, check the MOSFETs, control board, the fit, everything in there. You can see some photos here. I believe, Archie, these are your photos, right?
So those are photos from the EcoDrift, but I circulate what has to be checked on because that's basically area where you can have the water coming in.
So you guys can check this when you get your wheels. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I'm guilty of this. Let me pull you back in. I'm guilty of this, Archie. I'm one of those people that when I get my wheel, I just go. So no more will I do that after what has been happening. Now I feel like, okay, I'm on the same page now with you. When I get a wheel in, I got to make sure I take a peek at it. And, you're not the only one that was saying that. Mickey had said it before. Sean said it before. Those that ride a lot were saying that, hey, you got to take a peek at these wheels. But I was getting wheels like the 16X and the V11. These are well done, well built wheels that I wasn't worried about. But now venturing more into the only Gotway I got was the one that I bought from you, and it was a new monster. But I know you, and I know that you went through that wheel and made sure that I had a safe wheel, so I wasn't worried about it. But going forward, I'm like, I'm gonna take that checklist and I'm gonna be looking at it, sure that it works a little bit better. Things are where they should be. So that's just me. Marty, I'm getting back to the comments here. Marty said Gotway has no version control system in place. When I see some evidence of a version control system, then there'll be hope that real changes are occurring. Okay. Marty's got a point there, I guess. There's a lot of things that we're looking for changes.
Absolutely. I mean, every step of the production they have is missing the quality control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's like I was trying to playing with a heat gun and with the main board and try to figure out whether to use the heating, the thermal pad, or to use the mica spacer between the MOSFET and and of course for someone like me, it's probably better to put little thermal paste that you put on your computer because it has much better heat dissipation. But on doing it on a scale like they do, it's impossible. Now they do have a cheap labor there that should be able to, to be as a people to control that. However, cheap labor doesn't always mean that you have the quality getting out of the people. So yeah, they might probably get people that they hire for weekends, and I don't know how it is. I know that they told me they have like 70 people there, but if they have full-time employees that they know what they're doing, or is it just a bunch of new people that they hire, put the screws together and then overlook that there are two holes that the water can get into, or they just don't think about it, right? But the bearings issue is obviously they said it's solved. Well, we will see how it's solved. Even if I put, I need to test it. I cannot say how it's gonna be.
Right.
I
Hey,
have a 850 miles on mine.
Archie, somebody asked a question. You rode the Sherman early. Have you tried it again with a completed better version of the Sherman to see if that could work for you?
I tried version one and I tried version two.
Yeah.
For a heavy guy like me with a backpack, when I had to compare this and that, right, the same thing. It felt very, very sluggish at the beginning, and I think we had a discussion with Nikki that I said it felt really, really sluggish at the beginning, and some people told me, yeah, it's missing the low end torque that when you get going,
Right.
But for me, that's important because, as I said, when I'm already there, I don't need to jump into go 40 miles per hour and just push it hard. And it doesn't mean that I have to be there in 2 seconds from 20 to 40. I'm not. To me, it doesn't work this way because I know that I will lose the range. But sometimes when you need to kick off and when you need to push, it felt small. That's all I have to say. It felt small. I didn't like the feel that it was small. It also was small because I didn't buy Sherman or the seat. I tried one which was custom seat and then another one which was also custom seat. So it really wasn't the way I would set it up, and maybe I would get used to it. But in all, you're gonna become loving them no matter what. You're gonna get used to it. Like the Monster Pro, when you ride it for 100, 200 miles, I don't think it's enough. I think you need 300, 400 miles on that wheel to really get used to it, to you get used to that feel. Also, the wheel will feel different because the tire will, the motor will start grinding. Right? Um, you know, do I if I now have an option to keep one wheel for myself on all of them, which wheel it would be, Monster Truck would be the one. Okay, because it has what I need. Power for me, it has the range for me. Um, but is it the best wheel to talk about? Definitely not. And especially for somebody asked me to write a review, and I said, let me not do it now. I don't want to do it. And he said, why not? Been riding on it. We did 850 miles. And I said, yeah, but I rode 850 miles on a wheel that is stretch. I
Right.
know that oscillation, water got in it, all these other things. And I said, and it would be unfair because I agreed on getting that wheel being the first batch. I agreed on getting that wheel to test it and give them feedback back. That was the agreement. We were talking about it already in May, and they told me, Archie, we cannot send you the wheels first, and ignored all the other dealers that are buying and selling the wheels. And I said, I understand that, I respect that, but sending it out to the dealers and get the dealers tested is one thing. Having it sent to dealers and the dealers will send it out to PR people,
Right.
that's a mistake. You need the people that will test the wheel, give the feedback, build on that, and then when the wheel is finally ready, send it out to the people that can make a review or something and people that can comment. And and there will be people that will like it, there will be people that will hate it, which is normal. But they made a mistake. They made a mistake with the EX, and I keep asking them, why did you make this mistake with the EX? Why did you release the wheel that it's not, that it's not being tested in the? And we said, well, we tested here. I said, yeah, but you 100 pounds. You have to have something that's not just the wheel in a hot, etc. And then we go back again to the same thing. They're assembling, no quality control. They're designing. They don't think. Of course, they want to satisfy us with as many batteries in it, and because of that, they make thin shell. So you're gonna either have a very big battery, and then you're gonna have appropriate shell, but the wheel's gonna weigh 120 pounds, or you're gonna make smaller battery, and then you're gonna have people that will be complaining that there's not enough range, or you're gonna make what Kingsong does, that they basically, aside from the 16X, I don't think that they have a wheel that can do 60, 70 miles for people like us. And ultimately, once you get used to that type of riding, that's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said both ways, and there's a lot. There's
what happened to
you cut out. Well, your sound was going out there too.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
So wait. So Mickey said the V11 it has mock. I don't know. I didn't have any Mickey. Let's see. Drew just tore up my E-Wheels power pads. Okay, so the bottom line for all this is I do think we need to go through the wheels. And of course, I've been putting up comments. Somebody asked me, "What are you frozen there?" No, I was looking at your comments, guys, and trying to pop them up on screen so we could, you can share it while we're listening to Archie. You can also see your comments up on screen. But I wasn't a person that believed that we needed to, but that has now changed for me. I now believe that we definitely, wholeheartedly, 100% need to take a peek at our wheels, make sure that everything is on the up and up. But I also agree with what was said. One of the comments I put up a minute ago that was saying it's sad. It doesn't make sense, and it's not fair that wheels that cost above $2,000, up to $3,000, $3,500, that we should have to go into these wheels after paying so much for them and then do work ourselves to make sure that these wheels are ready. You're right. We should not.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But here's a little disconnect on this, okay?
But hold on, Archie. Hold on. I want to finish my thought before I let you. What I'm saying is we shouldn't have to, but we do right now. Also, we are trusting our safety and our lives to one wheel, one motor. And I believe because we are trusting our lives to something that is, possibly we can get hurt. Several people have been hurt. Because you're trusting so much to that wheel, now looking at it, it makes more sense to at least know what's going on in there a little bit better. Talk to more people. We have this kind of community and this forum, so we can communicate. So, and I think we just need two more.
I think, but I think what we need to do, right? When you attack someone to react to your accusation, your opinions, your ideas, right? once you put them in the corner, right, they will never listen. They will never listen. If you talk to them in the sense that, it makes no sense to bring them down. It really makes no sense to do that because you're not gonna get anything out of them. All you're gonna get is that they're gonna close themselves together and they will say, well, you know what, screw you. You can buy it somewhere else if you don't like that product. If you want to really help, then being offensive doesn't really help. I learned that from my own life since I've been always very offensive, and I never really got anywhere being offensive because it doesn't bring you anything back. Yeah, you can share your ideas and your thoughts, but you always have to listen to other people what they have to say, or at least the party that you're talking to, because at the end of the day, you want their well-being as well as you want your own well-being. But Evan, you talked about that you as a dealer shouldn't be, or you as a person that is paying a lot of this money, you shouldn't be going through this check. Now, you shouldn't be doing that. But you are the person, you're the end user, and you shouldn't be really doing that. That should be the dealer job. But because we all try to find a way around that whole system, we are skipping the people that are supposed to do that. Like my wheel came with holes that basically were unpatched and water got into it. But if I would get the wheel to a dealer, then I would expect the dealer would do the diligence and look at it and know what to do and make sure that, hey, if there was something that was missed at the factory production line, that it's been done. And I think that's normal in any industry. That's what usually it is. But because we cut it into the fact that we want it direct, and more we do that, less control there is at the end, because we want it fast. We have a part on it too. It's essentially I thought, if you're gonna buy wheels from AliExpress, right? Um, are there people from AliExpress that are qualified to open the wheel and fill it with batteries and make sure that some yes, some no, you know? So the dealer should be the one who should handle the final product in good condition to the end client, and the client should not be worried about it. And if there is an issue, then the dealer should be responsible for correcting that. And if it means that connecting with the factory and fixing the problem together, or if he's gonna want to take it on his own, and then final way how to solve it with the factory. But that's the principle of basically the sales, and many of them they get skipped. So you buy wheel, you buy it from people that they might have no issue, no clue what the wheel is doing, what is this for, and is it Gotway's fault to sell to these people? Well, from our perspective, yes, because we want the safety. From their perspective, they want to make money. So
True.
So if you are not involved in this, right? If you're not involved in that, then you understand both ways, right? It's like what just happened in Europe, right? You had this influencer, I think, car influencer, Mr. JWW. He requested some special parts from this company in UK, and he asked them, hey, because you're gonna install it on my product, on my car, I want you to pay me this amount of money, and from any future sales of that product, I want a percentage. And of course, the Top Gear, Chris Harris, commentator, he was against that, saying,
Right.
well, no, this is really bad. You shouldn't be asking for that. Who do you think you are? And then you had people commenting and obviously saying, how dare are you asking for something like this? But from the perspective, from the as of from Chris Harris' perspective, okay, he's established, he's a commentator, he works for BBC, he's making money by making shows, car shows, etc., etc. And now you have new wave of people that are automotive YouTubers that he doesn't really connect to. Why he doesn't connect to? Well, the bottom line is that they're taking over his business. So he's gonna speak on that. And of course, from the perspective of Mr. JWW, he's like, well, it's my business, it's my brand, and I'm gonna help you to sell your product. I want to have something in it.
Right.
You don't have to do it. This is a proposal. If you don't like it, you don't like it. So, and I think that in any other respect, on a business that we are involved in, the unicycles, it's a very, very similar thing. Like, we can be talking to Gotway and say, hey, Gotway, okay, help us with this, fix this problem, and because this problem is this and that, and Gotway was always good. Gotway always tried to fix that, even though they fixed it with the same mistake. Basically, they send you, there's an issue on the board that the board doesn't completely lock into the shell, or the shell crack. So what they do, they send you a new shell, but the same shell. Your the old, and this is what I hated, the old hangers on the wheel on the monster, that the under my weight they would slightly bend in, and because they bend in, they would start touching the motor. That's how. So of course, for me, I was welcoming to have the new system with these big hollow motors, because I knew that the material can be much stronger, and in that case, I wouldn't be putting too much pressure on the big wheel. And on Monster V3 wheel, you have much bigger diameter, so you're putting way more pressure on the pedals, because the pedals are much lower, so more force. So for me, that was something that I really appreciated when they did it. But now I'm gonna be like, okay, well, yeah, but the bearings that you send me, they suck. So send me new bearings, and they are willing to do that. Even on the wheels that we shipped, the EXs, they said, yeah, we're gonna be sending new bearings, we're gonna be sending new trolleys. We told them the trolleys suck. So what they did, they upgraded the trolleys. It's not that they are not willing to do that. They were always willing to do it. But are they doing it fast enough to what we like?
No, not for us.
No. But that's what I'm saying. You kind of have to let's see what they come up with. Let's see what they fix, right? Let them rest now. They have their holidays. Let them rest, and let's see where it's gonna be. Coming against you. But the talking about the general knowledge of the wheels, I think everybody who has these wheels at home need to be aware of the fact that yes, these wheels can combust by themselves, and no BMS will help you. And it can happen anytime. No BMS will help you, because somehow one of the cells inside the circuit board can break, can burn, whatever. You're not gonna notice. If by the time you're gonna get your text message or whatever, you're not gonna know, right?
Well, I don't think they're looking for. Well, some people might be looking for instant notification, like maybe a pop-up message or something. But I think they're in like overall like standards. I would like to know the health of my battery packs, the health of the wheel. Only, if nothing else, only because what's been going on lately, it's been making me think about that. So I think that's what the key is, that people are looking at the safety more because there have been more fires, so we're more concerned about it. And that's like the biggest issue. But what I want to do now, because now we're almost at 2.5 hours, Archie. And I knew this was gonna happen the minute I had you on the show. we could just keep talking about this stuff for hours. But I do have to wrap it up, and I just want to say thank you, Archie. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. We're definitely gonna have to do a lot more rides. And I will I was thinking about it. Even Showtime said maybe we'll take the train to Boston and then ride home, or something like that. Ride around with you guys and then ride home. You know, something. I'm not sure, but we'll do something as the weather gets better.
It's beautiful, right? And we can always come to you, or we can
Yeah,
meet somewhere, somewhere in between. But from me also to wrap this up. I know that you want to wrap it up, and I know you have to go because wife is gonna be upset. But there you go. I know I did that, but I just want people to understand this thing. Every company can make a mistake, and even though if Gotway makes so many mistakes, by the number of the wheels they are selling to different companies, to different people, um, you know, how many really big problems we had in terms of the safety, right? I don't think I don't want to play it down, right? I don't want to say that it's minimal, but I think that if we as an end users can help to control the fact that, hey, when you charge your wheel and somehow the wheel is not fully charged and you notice that, or when you're riding and you notice that you don't get that much distance as you always did, well, there's something wrong. Don't push your luck. Don't, try to find the solution. Try to fix that. As I said, you can have perfectly beautiful pack that work fine for a couple of months, and this can happen because moisture,
right. Well,
humidity,
Marty just made a good point. I put it up, but now let me scroll back. Where'd it go? I put it up. Oh, here it goes. He said dealers like eWheels would probably hate a smart BMS. Everyone would be calling them, hey, my battery number 23 is indicating a drop in performance of 2%. Give me a new battery pack. So that might happen. But
absolutely.
but at least we wouldn't have the my wheel burn up and it's on fire. You know what I mean? I got a message that there's something different, something is off in my wheel. Let me take it outside. Not saying you won't get fire, just saying that if we did, we would be a little more prepared, I guess. That's the point. So, but anyway, I don't want to start something else because we'll start talking about something else. I just want to say thank you. Marty, I'm glad you were here. Mickey EVX, glad you were here. EUC Chronicles, everybody, go George, go. We had some of everybody in here today, and I appreciate that. From around the world, we had people from all over Germany, everywhere. We like you, bro. We're bringing a lot of people in and bringing a lot of people together. So I appreciate that. EUC vibes. I really enjoyed your latest video. Thank you, brother. So I will see you guys in the next one. I'm off next week, which I'm happy about because even though it's snowing, it's going to be snowing more this weekend and next week. I'll get to some videos that I haven't got a chance to get to yet. I got some things I need to make, videos I need to make. So stay tuned. There'll be a few coming out probably back to back to back, hopefully. And that's about it. And Archie, you and I will see each other soon, brother. All right?
For sure. Stay safe, yeah?
Yeah, keep riding and you stay safe too, my man. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Cheers.
Peace.